I'll get right to the point tonight. This question I want to deal with tonight is not one that was submitted from outside. It's actually one that I just feel like desperately needs to be dealt with. Several things have happened recently. I had one of the brothers in the church told me that he got a ride from another young man that attends this church on a regular basis. And he said he was shocked to get in his car and he's taking him somewhere and to hear this guy playing rap music, a professing Christian, a professing new believer, playing rap music with foul language. And I think he was surprised and he challenged the guy about it, and the guy believed that he had Christian liberty. And then I think another one of the young men in the church, inadvertently, I overheard something he was playing in his car, same kind of thing. And I know that when Tawfiq was questioned in the Q&A that we had for him before holding the election for him for eldership at Grace, one of the questions that was brought up that afternoon was I asked Tawfiq straight up how he would deal as an elder with young men in the church that listen to music with foul language. And he said that he would use a Matthew 18 process. And somebody asked him a question, well, what if that individual says, I'm not doing it myself, and I'm not affected by it in the music I listen to? And the concern was that Tawfiq would be legalistic to insist that, it was sin for somebody to listen to music that has that kind of lyric. And I can tell you that if you want to know how I feel about that, I found the exact response. Many of you know Tim Challies. You know that name? Tim has, isn't he with a church in Toronto, Canada, and he has a very well-known Reformed blog. And I did a quick search today and I found this. Challies says this: the issue of profanity in the church is one that continually surprises me. To myself and to many other Reformed types, what is most shocking about the profanity discussion is that we need to have it at all. That we should avoid foul speech seems obvious and beyond dispute, and yet here we are. I mean, when I read that, I thought, that is exactly where I'm just shocked. I can't even believe that this is actually being put on the table. I mean, I just can't believe it. I feel like, Challies says, what is most shocking about the profanity discussion is that we need to have it at all. That is shocking. He thinks so, I think so. Why? Why would we think so? Because this is not something that Scripture is vague about. It really is not. And so I'd like you all to turn to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. In fact, Ephesians 4 and 5 is it's a perfect place to park. And even if I do quote from some other places, you might listen to me and just stay pretty much this whole Bible study time right there in Ephesians 4 and 5. Because if there's any place in Scripture that deals with this in the clearest possible sense, it's here. Ephesians 4:29. let no, and I'm reading from the ESV, let no corrupting talk. King James, New King James say corrupt. The NAS says unwholesome, I believe. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. And what is corrupting talk? Corrupting talk is anything that comes out of your mouth. This idea of corrupting, it's a word that has to do with decay. It's speaking words that have an impact of decayed matter. Rotting, putrefying, disgusting, perishing, rank, corrupt, foul, putrid, worthless. In secular writings from 2,000 years ago, this word, sapros in the Greek, it was used to describe spoiled fish, rotten grapes on the ground, and crumbling stones. It's that idea of decay and rot. And that's in Ephesians 4:9. You have this idea of corrupting speech. Now, some of you might say, yeah, but is that profanity? Well, let's think further here. Ephesians 5:3, if you move down a little bit from 4:49. Remember, there's no breaks here in the original. You really have a constant flow from... In fact, it might do us good to just get the feel of the flow from 4:17 through partway through 5, just so you can see there's an unbroken thought here. This I say and testify in the Lord, that you must no longer walk as the Gentiles do. Now you tell me how the Gentiles walk. I'll tell you, for 25 years of my life, I walked as a Gentile. I had a filthy, foul mouth. I cursed, I swore, I was obscene, I used God's name in vain, and so did most of you. That is the way of the Gentile. That is the mouth of the Gentile. And what we are specifically told is no longer walk as the Gentiles do in the futility of their minds. You say, well, it doesn't say anything about their mouth. Well, it most certainly does. The text we just looked at. And you're going to see the connection here. Watch this. They're darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God, because of the ignorance that is in them, due to their hardness of heart. They've become callous, have given themselves up to sensuality, greedy, to practice every kind of impurity. That is not the way you learn Christ. But this, assuming that you have heard about Him and were taught in Him, as the truth is in Jesus, to do what? I mean, if you've learned Jesus, what have you learned? You're to put off the old self, the old mouth, the old filth, the old obscenity, the old putrefying, filthy, stench-filled communication that came from your mouth. That which was vulgar and obscene and rotten and decaying and disgusting, corrupt and foul and putrid. Put it away. Put off that old man, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and to put on the new man, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. Now watch this. Therefore, having put away falsehood. You notice the therefore? Having put off the old man, of necessity puts off the old wicked ways of the mouth. Does it not? Having put away falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth. It's speaking. Falsehood is put away, speaking the truth with your neighbor, for we're members of one another. Be angry, do not sin. Put off that old part of your old self. Anger. Not let the sun go down on your anger. Give no opportunity to the devil, which you did in your old life, walking as a Gentiles. Let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands.